It is Monday, November 25th, 2013. My name is John Kurowski, and here in Orlando, temperatures are dropping drastically, but I don't mind. In fact, I'm celebrating it, and that's why I'm inviting you all to join me on a very special Frozen and Frosty edition of Photo Finds. Over at Universal, they're asking if you are naughty and nice for this year's Christmas festivities, naughty being a reference to the annual Grinchmas, and nice referring to the Macy's Parade, which joins us every year from New York City to Orlando, which runs on NBC, Universal's parent company. This runs this year from December 7th to January 4th, giving enough time to come from New York to Orlando, and usually has a big kickoff. But the big news comes from Epcot, where temperatures there have gotten, well, just downright frozen. As you can see, snowflake planters are gathering around the Epcot Christmas tree, giving an indication that things have gotten chilly, and a new addition comes from Norway inside the recently reopened Stave Church. In preparation for the 53rd animated feature from Walt Disney Animation Studios, the previous display, which featured Viking exploration, has moved out in order to take us behind the curtain to look into the making of the world of Frozen. Based on the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale The Snow Queen, this exhibit takes Epcot guests behind the scenes, but not so much as how the film was made, nor the animation process itself, but how actual landmarks and landscapes throughout Norway's countryside inspired the look of the creation of the film. Each display features authentic traditional Norwegian assets, while keeping the upcoming film as the center of its purpose. So, for instance, you might see this young Norwegian woman in her traditional native dress, but when you look closer at what she's wearing and the items around her, you will see that everything has a meaning to it. Things such as the jewelry she is wearing, these two brooches, one means faith and the other means love. All this can be found on the signage inside the exhibit. Or the loom that she's having in her lap is something that you find in a Norwegian home to make shawls, scarves, and placemats. Even the trinket and jewelry boxes on the shelves on the wall in the exhibit have meaning too. She is a character that you would find or someone that they would look at when they were creating the character of Anna, one of the main characters of the film. So you would see the characters with the Norwegian artifacts. This emphasized a lot of comparisons and similarities between Norway proper and the fictional kingdom of Arendelle, which is the setting of the film. From the architecture like the Stave Church, to the folk art like this hand-carved chair, to the culture of these musical instruments, we see how these things will come to life when we are able to connect the exhibit to the characters that we get to know from the film when it finally comes out. The movie officially opens on Wednesday, November 27th, the day before Thanksgiving, but there are apparently a lot of screenings the night before, on the Tuesday night, and not just the midnight screening, and that's just here in Orlando. So check your local listings if you want to get a jump start of the film. When I was walking around this exhibit, I heard a lot of adults saying, "Ooh, this is going to be good, I can't wait to see it." I'm personally with them. I can't wait to see Frozen. The clips that they showed us at the D23 Expo look amazing, and I am going to be there on the Tuesday night. The music was written by the same artist who wrote the Book of Mormon, Finding Nemo the Musical, and the Winnie the Pooh movie from 2011. So from the cold fjords of Norway, we're going to move into a whole other winter wonderland, to the Gaylord Palms in Kissimmee, where they are just kicking off their annual ice exhibit. This year they are celebrating the 1969 animated television special, Frosty the Snowman. Now, this Frosty exhibit is literally frozen, as they bring the temperature of the attraction down to only 9 degrees. Frosty the Snowman made his television debut in 1969 in the animated special produced by Rankin Bass Productions. The past 2 years, Gaylord Palms Ice Exhibit featured themes to DreamWorks Animation Studios' holiday projects, Shrek the Halls, and Merry Madagascar. Frosty predates Shrek, Madagascar, even DreamWorks as a company. So I was surprised when in the introductory film they called this DreamWorks Classics Frosty the Snowman. What I found out was that in July in 2012, DreamWorks Animation required classic media, so that gives them now the rights to Frosty, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Voltron, Mr. Peabody and Sherman, The Lone Ranger, many more animated properties from from the early days. Like most years, ice really impresses, not only as a piece of art, but how they are able to translate and bring to life the story of Frosty the Snowman in colored ice. From his early days of being built using the first snow that fell on Christmas, to his button nose and his eyes made out of coal, to the lovable friend to all the children in the town, you can see all the major players from the original show here in ice. Here's Frosty the Snowman as he's marching through the town. You also see Hocus Pocus the Rabbit, the greedy magician Professor Hinkle, and Frosty's good friend Karen, as well as things from the song and the show like the traffic cop and other people from the town. Also, the forest animals are shown here, the ones that help Frosty on his way to the North Pole. And it also follows the story as he goes through town, heads into the refrigerator car on his way to the North Pole, and also the drastic escape from the villain of the show, Professor Hinkle. Even the scene where Frosty sacrifices himself so Karen doesn't freeze is here. The attention to detail in each scene is really something, with different touches that tell the story, including the thermometer, and as we all remember, Frosty hates red thermometers. And when you see the puddle over by where Frosty was, with nothing but his felt hat and his corncob pipe, we get to see why. Now, the original soundtrack plays over each scenario from the television special, including Jimmy Durante's narration and the rendition of Frosty the Snowman's song, to the dialogue from the original voice actors of the animated special. Something really of note is Paul Frees portrayed the voice of Santa Claus in Frosty the Snowman, and he is also the voice of the ghost host inside the Haunted Mansion, and also the voice of many pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean, as well as the voice of Ludwig von Drake. Now, besides Frosty the Snowman, this year, the ice exhibit has a special added bonus of the Frostbite Factory. This is intended to give guests a behind-the-scenes look of what it takes to create the ice attraction, with purposely unfinished pieces of ice. As you see, the little soldiers, their heads are not attached to their bodies. Other things like the face on this soldier is not created yet. There's also different Christmas and like ornaments and candy canes all throughout the exhibit to give. It's also like a mishmash to show like what it looks like getting it together. Signs try to give an implication of how these blocks of ice become the creations that we see today. There's also an ice carver on hand with shaping different pieces of ice to make what will look like, when it's done, this train with a teddy bear driving that kind of looks like Duffy the Disney bear. The section does not have anything to do with the DreamWorks experience, whether new DreamWorks or classic DreamWorks, which they're calling it now. But when you're in the Frosty exhibit, if you look closely, you will find Turbo. He is the title snail character from the 2013 DreamWorks animated feature that came out this past summer. Now, you exit all the fun through this giant ornament, and you end up like you do every year, into the nativity scene. Now, this uses clear ice; it's not colored at all. They use the song "Oh Holy Night" as its musical backdrop. They did a much better job blocking the sound from the other rooms this year as opposed to last year. Last year, when you were looking at the religious display, you could hear the audio from the first room in it, which was King Julian from Madagascar singing how much he likes to move it, move it. One thing missing from ICE this year, though, is the ability to purchase a season pass. They usually called it the Freezing Season Pass, which would get you unlimited entry into ICE for the whole season while it's running, with parking into the Gaylord ponds included. The only thing that's unlimited this year is if you are staying at the hotel on the DreamWorks Experience package. You can go in and out of ICE, but only for one day. Unlimited use of the ICE exhibit for just one day. The DreamWorks Experience package is something that has been offered for more than a year now and features meet and greet with characters of Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda, and Shrek, plus the Shrek Feast, a character breakfast based on the Green Ogre. Shrek Shrek and Princess Fiona, Puss in Boots, they're all in hand. This is the best breakfast buffet that I've ever been to, and it's at the Villa de Flores restaurant inside the Gaylord Palms. They said now that Christmas at the Gaylord has begun. Gingy is making appearances at the breakfast too, but he was not there the morning that we went. Speaking of Gingy, an add-on to the ice exhibit is Gingy's gingerbread decorating. This is an opportunity to buy a gingerbread man, decorate it, and then eat it. Gingy does remind you not to forget his gumdrop buttons, and you also might be able to get to meet him in person while you're in there too. Also, upon exiting ice, you can meet Santa Claus, but please keep in mind that both Gingy's decorating and the meet and greet with Santa shut down earlier than the ice exhibit. So if you have a later time, like I would say maybe anything after 7:30 to see ice, you probably would not be able to meet Santa or Gingy in the Gingy's gingerbread decorating. Now, Frosty's been around since 1969. I've never seen so much merchandise that featured this version of Frosty from the TV special as I did to the exit of ice in the merchandise section. Everything from coffee mugs to hoodies. With the hoodies here have Frosty on it, also with the ice at the Gaylord Palms logo, to a wide selection of men's and women's T-shirts, all featuring Frosty, and not so much with the ice logo. The whole merchandise area seemed a lot more expanded this year than it has in the past, but a lot of it was candy. Also, every year the Gaylord Palms has a hunt to find something throughout the hotel, and this year it's these little reindeer, very cute. Not only confined to the ice exhibit, these reindeers are scattered all throughout the hotel, and participants are given a little scavenger hunt where they can write down where they find the reindeers and then enter to win a dinner at the Wreckers Sports Bar restaurant at the Gaylord Palms. I personally enjoyed this Frosty ice exhibit. This is really one of the best ones that I've ever attended. I took part in the survey at the exit, and they had a really interesting question to pick 3 of the upcoming themes that you would like to see for ice. And they were Santa Claus is coming to town, Frosty the Snowman, and I know they already have that, Christmas in New York City, the Nativity in Ice, which surprised me because they do that every year, Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Elf on a Shelf in Ice, Holidays Around the World, the Nutcracker in Ice, Towards the Night Before Christmas, again, that's something they've already done, and the How to Train Your Dragon Holiday Special. Whatever they decide, I'm sure will be special and unique, and extremely exciting as well, too. So, I think it's time to warm up a little bit. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up for today. Thank you for joining me on this Frozen and Frosty edition of Photo Finds. I will see you all next week, and have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Goodbye.